previous lecture, that is the introduction to post-structuralism as such. And I hope you have gone through the main points that I have sent you that were noted down by me, and I shared you that from the CAM scanner. So I hope you have also gone through those points, and those points, if you note down, will be a short answer for any short answer question on post-structuralism as such. What is post-structuralism? What are the precepts, or who are the key figures, etc. Okay. So today, actually, after post-structuralism, I thought of beginning your the third unit. I don't know what exactly is prescribed for you, but because post-structuralism is and the main concepts advocated by post-structuralism are are due to Jacques Derrida, who is a very great post-structuralist philosopher and literary critic and many other. So I thought of introducing, I thought that it is good if you know some things about Derrida, his life, his work, his contribution, and his ideas, and then of course the criticism against him also. So let us go to this presentation. I want to share this Word document with you, and from this I will be explaining some of the important things that we have to know regarding Derrida. Okay, I have collected the image of Derrida also, of course, from the Google. This is Jacques Derrida, and it is from 1930 to 2004. So that is his life period, and this is the man. And is a French philosopher whose critique of Western philosophy and analysis of the nature of language, writing, and meaning were highly controversial, yet immensely influential in much of the intellectual world in the late 20th century. This is the source that I have taken from Encyclopedia Britannica. So he is a French philosopher, but a Jewish by birth. Okay, and he actually criticized the Western philosophy, but for many things. Okay, and he is well known for his analysis of nature of language. So what is language, what is its nature, etc. Then nature of writing, and also the nature of meaning also. Yesterday we have seen the question of meaning, whether we can have our own meanings. Is meaning a private affair, or can we have personal meanings, etc. So we have observed that. So Derrida is one philosopher who has been into exploring these questions of meaning, writing, language, what is its nature, etc. But his ideas were, of course, very philosophical and knowledgeable, no doubt, but they were very much controversial also. And at the same time, he was a very influential figure in shaping the post-structuralist thought to the later decades of the 20th century. As I have already told you that during 1960s, the post-structuralism as a theory has begun to gain popularity both in England, especially in France, and then in America also. So let us know some more about this great philosopher, literary critic also for us. In his life and his works, we will try to know some more things. So he's born into a Sephardic Jewish parents. Born to Sephardic Jewish parents, as I have already told you. This is in Algeria, where French governed Algeria means, of course, he was in colonialism. So France was governing in Algeria, and there he was born. And then he was educated in the French tradition itself. He went to France in 1949. From Algeria, he went to France in 1949, and there he studied at the Elite École Normale Supérieure. This is a very great university in France, located, I think, in Paris. And later, after studying, then he taught philosophy in different universities in France itself. In France, he taught philosophy, and from 1960 onwards, he published numerous books and essays on an immense range of topics. So the topics ranging from philosophy, language, okay, and then Marxism, psychoanalysis, literature, so many other areas he had explored into. And then he published many books also, and he was a visiting professor in Yale University, University of California, Irvine, etc. And he actually received international acclaim only after the great existential philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, a generation earlier. Okay, like in the 1920s and 30s, I think Sartre was very popular, and he's a very senior to Derrida. And as Jean-Paul Sartre received attention at international levels for his philosophy of existentialism, etc., Derrida also received that kind of popularity, or his ideas are celebrated in American universities and all. Okay. So Derrida is most celebrated as the principal exponent of deconstruction. So Derrida is known for deconstruction. Actually, in yesterday's lecture, I have touched upon this concept, that is deconstruction. So from this unit, where in Derrida is prescribed for your study, you will get deconstruction as also as one of the short answer questions. Deconstruction, just that is a concept of post-structuralism. This can be asked as a short answer question. Post-structuralism, as it is prescribed in your background studies, is one of the concepts. And then now the one of the main concepts of post-structuralism is deconstruction. That is actually expanded or explained by Derrida. And Derrida is very popularly known for his deconstructive philosophy. He is the one who coined this word for the critical examination of the fundamental conceptual distinctions or oppositions. So why he coined this term? This is for the critical examination of the fundamental conceptual distinctions or oppositions, which are known as binaries. Yesterday we have touched upon that. They are inherent in Western philosophy since the time of the ancient Greeks. So it is not a very new idea that he is going to take and deconstruct, but he has taken a very ancient idea, that is the fundamental conceptual distinctions of oppositions, which is called as binaries. And this is there from the ancient Western philosophy, say from Greek philosophers. Many of the Greek philosophers also have used these binaries. These oppositions are characteristically binary and hierarchical. So we have seen yesterday also how they are hierarchical in their nature, and they always involve a pair of terms in which one member of the pair is assumed to be primary or fundamental. As I told you, if you take nature culture, or master slave, light dark, or what do you say, object and subject, etc., we have subject and sorry, this binary, as I have given you yesterday, male, female, master, slave, and light, dark, knowledge, ignorance, etc. White and black, all those binaries I have given. So what happens in this pair? I told you yesterday. This in this pair of terms, one member of the pair is assumed to be primary or fundamental. So I have told you that in the binary, in the pairs of binaries, always the first one is validated. Master is good, nature is good, and light is good, white is good. Okay, male, okay, all, if you take all these binaries, it is always assumed that the first one is primary or fundamental and the other is secondary or derivative. So man, of course, is the one from whom women is derived. Okay, and that is why always we have this pair which is called as binary, and the first one is always considered primary fundamental, whereas the second one is always secondary and it is treated as a derivative of the first. So here also we have the examples like including nature, culture, speech, writing, mind, body, presence, absence, inside, outside, literal and metaphorical, intelligible and sensible, and form and meaning, among many others. If you go on like this, the list is, of course, may have a very exhaustive list, but these are some of the examples where you, of course, can guess that the first one is always treated as primary and fundamental. So nature, speech, of course, is validated against writing because it's believed that speech is first and writing came later. And then mind and body. Okay, against our body, mind is given preference. And presence and absence. Of course, presence is primary and fundamental. So inside is primary and literal and metaphorical, etc. So like this. And taking such binaries, Derrida, developed this concept of deconstruct. Okay. Actually, in the pairs that we have referred just now, Derrida feels that what is the guarantee of the fundamental or primary nature of the first phrase or word in the binary? Are they not constructed? So they are also, of course, at some point of time made by human beings only. They are constructed. So there is every need to deconstruct. So that is where, of course, Derrida actually got the idea. One more thing I feel, actually, Derrida is a Jew. He comes from a Jewish family, and you all know what happened to Jews during the Second World War. Okay, and they were, um, killed in Holocaust. Okay, persecuted, killed. Thousands of Jews were locked up in gas chambers, especially by the Nazis. Okay, under the leadership of Hitler, and they felt the Jews who are considered as Semitics, okay, because Nazis are always anti-Semitic, polytheistic, etc. So we can always attach this desire on part of Derrida to develop this kind of deconstruction, where the primariness or the fundamentality of the first pair is always, the first phrase of the pair is always believed that it is also a construction. So who says that it is the first one is good, whereas the second one is not so? So the first, because of the first one only, the second one is existing, that is also there. If not putting them into opposition, one against the other, we can say that this is here, and then the second pair of course is because of this only. That means if this is not here, this will not exist in the similar manner. So being a Jew, of course, he might have faced that fundamentalism, the fundamentalism of the Nazis. Okay, because the Jews, of course, they are haunted for generations. Even now, I think you have read Harold Pinter's birthday party, where this is the comedy of manners, though it is a comedy of manners. No, the comedy of it is not comedy of manners. It is menace, the comedy of menace. So where we can see that um, Pinter portrays a feeling of being haunted always. Is there in that, if we call hero or not, the protagonist, the chief protagonist of the birthday party. Okay, so in the similar manner, the Jews who are considered to be Semitic, and they were haunted by the people who are anti-Semitic. And so there, of course, all Jews have developed this kind of being haunted, killed, etc. So from that, perhaps Derrida came to question this authority, the authority of Nazis, the authoritativeness of the anti-Semitic feeling itself, because they belong to a particular place or a particular way of religion, or a particular way of belief or language, etc. So what is the authority where Nazis have the right to kill? So of course, maybe he developed a antagonism towards the Western philosophy that always encourages this kind of fundamentalism, and in the binaries, in the binaries, they always want to, of course, impose the fundamentalism. And that is what we also so know, that Europeans are the ones who have gone to all other parts of the world and have colonized, and of course they treated the colonized people as subjects. Okay, they are colonized, and they are seen as slaves, not as human beings. They are like animalistic, like you have the African is always treated as a monkey, an ape. Okay, so maybe perhaps I feel that the Jewish background is what is the reason for the development of such a kind of theory like deconstruction, where he wanted to propagate the idea that there is a necessity to deconstruct the Western philosophy that actually has nurtured, has been nurturing these concepts of master, slave, white, black, etc. So the European, actually we have also talked of Eurocentrism. Okay, Eurocentrism is actually giving value to one culture, one tradition. So there is every need to deconstruct. Okay, so to deconstruct an opposition is to explore the tensions and contradictions between the hierarchical ordering. See, so to deconstruct means what? So for Derrida, it is exploring the tensions and contradictions between the hierarchical ordering. So there is a hierarchy, and which of course needs to be explored. Okay, and how the tensions and contradictions prevail, ordering assumed or asserted in the text. So this hierarchy is not given. The sense, who actually it is not like given by God. It is not ordained by God. This hierarchy is not ordained by God, but it is assumed and it is asserted in the text and other aspects of the text's meaning. So, with the literature is also a construction. While reading the post-colonial literature, you might have gone through what is that Achibi actually the one book I am not getting the name. The Heart of Darkness. Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness actually is a construction of Africa as a dark continent. So there, of course, from the text, Conrad has tried to establish Africa as the dark continent. This is why who told that Africa is a dark continent? What is the meaning of darkness? Okay, so the darkness, is it literally the absence of sun, or what, or in what way it is considered to be the darkest continent in the world? Actually, in my thesis, I began my thesis as Africa is the most sunniest continent, is constructed to be the darkest continent. This is only a colonial construction. So, like this, if you go through any culture, any tradition, you will find many constructions. So, the constructions of hierarchy, validating the first phrase in the binary. So now here also in our culture also, if you take, you have this what call untouchability. Okay, touchable, untouchable, etc. So there is a section which is of course touchable and a section which is untouchable. Who proclaimed that? So who constructed that? So it is only not a God-given or ordained by God, but it is only a construction. So Derrida actually wanted, by deconstruction, Derrida wanted to explore the tensions and contradictions. And I told you yesterday also, this is the theories of deconstruction are the prime influence behind or motivation behind the development of the post-colonial theories and feminist theories, etc. Because feminists also drawn from these motivated or taken from the deconstructive theories of Derrida, started deconstructing the female stereotypes. So as we have seen, the angel monster, angel monster binary is there. In the male and female, always male is validated, not the female. So why it goes on in a given culture? What is this hierarchy? So it is actually, according to Derrida, it is assumed and it is asserted in the text. So in some texts, of course, assert that, and other aspects of the text meaning. So the deconstruction, when we come to literature, actually, it is to explore the other aspects of the meaning, especially those that are indirect or implicit. So meanings which are indirect and implicit should be brought forward with this principle or with this concept of deconstruction. Such an analysis shows that the opposition is not natural or necessary, but a product or construction of the text itself. So what happens if we apply deconstruction to a text or the meaning or to the cultural studies or anthropological studies, etc., etc.? What happens? We'll come to know that whatever is the opposition, which is viewed as very natural or necessary, is only a product or a construction of the text itself. So it is a construction only. Don't take only text in the sense literature text, etc. But in the society also, in the culture also, we have yesterday discussed the relationship between language and culture. So language is culture, we say, and language reflects our culture. And in the culture, meanings are already existing. And when we learn a language, we own those meanings. And are we not eligible to change those meanings? Of course, we are. And of course, this is what Derrida shows, and this concept of deconstruction. So, for example, here we have a good example of the binary of speech and writing. So the speech and writing are always considered as opposite terms. Of course, many theories were there validating speech over writing, etc. So let us come to see what Derrida says or Saussure says, etc. regarding this. Okay. This speech writing opposition is manifested in texts that treat speech as a more authentic form of language than writing. So, in the discourse that is basically, it is a reference to structuralism, and there in texts of structuralism, Derrida observed that this speech is considered to be more authentic than writing, and that was constructed in the text. These texts, these texts here means the texts which authenticate speech over writing. They assume that the speaker's ideas and intentions are directly expressed and immediately present in speech. Whereas in writing, they are comparatively remote or absent and thus more easily misunderstood. Why? The primacy or more value is given to speech rather than writing. It is based on the conception or understanding that speech conveys the meaning immediately, whereas writing may not do that because the writing is remote, and there are many chances of getting misunderstood. Then here, if you are listening carefully, and if you are actually involving yourself into the subject, you will certainly get a question. The question is, won't you get misunderstandings in speech also? So it is actually in the text which validated speech against writing. They tried to justify this validation or preference given to speech, stating that writing is a remote activity and thereby it leads easily to misunderstandings. Then the question you should automatically or instantly get is, won't you get misunderstanding in speech? Of course, if it is the physical class, you will have, I may, you of course have answered my question just with a nod of saying yes. In speech also, we'll get misunderstandings. Okay, so there, of course, is the need to deconstruct this validating of speech against writing. So As Derrida points out, however, speech functions as language only to the extent that it shares characteristics traditionally assigned to writing, such as absence, difference, and the possibility of misunderstanding. So Derrida says that we cannot rub away the possibility of misunderstanding even in speech also. This fact is indicated by philosophical texts themselves, which invariably describe speech in terms of examples and metaphors drawn from writing. Even in cases where writing is explicitly claimed to be secondary to speech. So, where of course some texts, of course, have established this that even in speech, of course, we will get this conflict that the speech is also not absent of the choices of getting misunderstood. Significantly, Derrida does not wish simply to invert the speech writing opposition. Of course, by deconstructing the binary of speech writing, Derrida never intended to just, what do you say, revert the binary like writing and speech. He didn't show that. But to show that writing is really prior to speech means he never wanted to show like that. But as with any deconstructive analysis, the point is to restructure or displace the opposition so as to show that neither term is primary. So what is the intention of deconstruction? It is not to revert the binaries. We are not going to say dark into light or slave into master, etc. This is not the intention of deconstruction. Is not just reverting the binary, but it is to restructure and to displace the opposition, whatever is the tension that is prevailing in the hierarchies that are coming up because of these binaries, that that should be restructured. That should be actually developed to a certain extent that nothing is primary. So there it is like actually Derrida's theory is a blast for the Eurocentric feelings and also orthodox type of Christians who believe in slavery. You will be wondered to know that in America, some people still support slavery in the name of the Old Testament because God permitted slavery in the Old Testament. Of course, God permitted slavery in the Old Testament, but there are many rules and regulations. But people, they make themselves blind to that aspect of rules and regulations, and they only take slavery. So if you read about the abolitionist movements in America, you will come to understand that why North and South conflict is there. Okay, South is more, I think, liberal, and North is very orthodox. So like this. So here, what from by this term deconstruction, what Derrida wants to say is, it is not, deconstruction is not to revert the binary, but only to understand the tensions and the hierarchy, the tensions that are being created by the hierarchy, and only to remove this hierarchy and say that it is like neither term is primary in the sense all are important. It is now in a way it is of course validating everyone. As I told you that as students of literature, we should not nourish such feelings of superiority, inferiority, etc. For us, no language, no culture, no food, no dressing, no tradition, no region, anything either is neither superior nor inferior. They are just entities. Okay, so that is there. So by this speech writing binary, of course, Derrida wanted to show, and we can't say that speech is primary, writing is secondary, etc. And with the concept like writing leads to misunderstandings, where we cannot even brush away that speech also leads to misunderstanding many times. So the speech writing opposition derives from a pervasive picture of meaning that equals linguistic meaning with the ideas and intentions in the mind of the speaker or author. Actually, why this opposition came, derives from a pervasive picture of meaning. The picture of meaning that is there, that equates linguistic meaning with the ideas and intentions in the mind of the speaker or the author. So this is actually Saussure's theory, building on the theories of Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure. So Derrida's theories are based on Swiss linguist who is the father of structuralism. Okay, and Derrida actually, based on the theories of Saussure, coined this term difference. See, the spelling is a little bit, same only, yet pronounced and with a stress on the vowel E. Difference, meaning both a difference. See, the difference RE is changed to A there. The difference. It means both difference and an act of differing. So there is an act of differing to characterize the way in which linguistic meaning is created rather than given. See, linguistic meaning is actually created, not given. And what about speech? After our reading of the object of study, of course, even the meanings of speech are also created. Okay, I hope you will connect this with your ideas you have learned during the object of study. The speech is also actually, what I mean to say is, it is created only. So for Derrida, as for Saussure, the meaning of a word is a function of the distinctive contrasts it displays with other related meanings. Of course, the meaning of meanings are relational. That is what Saussure said. And of course, Derrida is also agreeing with to that extent. Because each word depends for its meaning on the meanings of other words. So each word, we cannot get the meanings of words in isolation that we have learned previously. Words, the meanings are dependent upon the other words. It follows that the meaning of a word is never fully present to us. This actually difference, of course, is to some extent based on Saussure's theory also. So he says, Derrida says that meaning is never present to us. Okay, as it would be if meanings were the same as ideas or intentions. Instead, it is endlessly differed in an infinitely long chain of meanings. So this Derrida explains or expresses this idea with what you call the word play, structure, sign and play. This is the essay I think prescribed for your study. And when we come to that essay, we will understand more about this. So he wants to say that meaning is different. Meaning is infinite. Meaning is indefinite. Meaning is limitless. It is actually shaking the monopolic, monotheistic, monocultural ideas of Europe. That is why Derrida is very much criticized also. Okay, so these are the two key concepts of Derrida, that is deconstruction and difference. And in the 1960s, Derrida's work was welcomed in France and elsewhere by thinkers interested in the broad interdisciplinary movement known as structuralism. Okay, structuralists, of course, have welcomed the theories of Derrida because he also have a few, what do you say, based his theories mostly on structuralism only. And his theories were welcomed in France. And of course, he was influential. People who started studying based on the knowledge of the structuralism, people in anthropology, cultural studies, etc., have started studying myths, religious rituals, literary narratives, fashions, and they are, this is structuralism. In other words, is like semiology, the science, the science of sign. Okay, that is what is more important. And of course, Derrida also has taken much from the structuralist ideas. And though he started with structuralism, later he started criticizing the structuralist ideas of Saussure, Claude Lévi-Strauss, and Michel Foucault also, because it is structuralism, in spite of its revolutionary theories of meaning, language, etc., still believes in the authoritative structures. Okay, whereas Derrida never believed in the authoritative structures. So then that is why Derrida was then, especially in United States, was considered to be leading a movement beyond structuralism, which is named as post-structuralism, which was skeptical about the possibility of a general science of meaning. Okay, structuralism wanted to incorporate the whole science of meaning into one area of knowledge, that is semiology. Okay, or semiotics, etc., which is the last section of Saussure's The Object of Study. But Derrida is very doubtful about the development of such a kind of possibility of general science of meaning. Okay, so Derrida has written many other works also, like see, I have a list, you can see here, Writing and Difference. They are written in French, so that is why all French words here, of grammatology, and then speech and phenomenon. Okay, and later, of course, he explored the treatment of writing by several seminal figures who are the philosophers like Edmund Husserl, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud also. And other books he published in 1972 include Analysis of Writing and Representation in the Work of Philosophers such as Plato, George Wilhelm, Hegel, Husserl, Martin Heidegger, etc. And he wrote Glass, which is a very experimental book printed in 2 columns, one containing the key concepts of Hegel and the other containing the suggestive discussion of thief, novelist, and playwright Jean Genet. Okay, so Derrida is although writing had always been marked by keen interest in what words can do, actually here he produced a work that plays with juxtaposition to explore how language can incite thought. Okay, the people distinguish in Derrida's work a period of philosophical deconstruction, which he wrote about philosophers, from a later period of focusing on literature, and then emphasizing the singularity of the literary work and the play of meaning in avant-garde writers such as Genet, Mallarmé, Francis Pong, James Joyce, etc. So these are the works of Derrida. which of course sprawl into three, what do you call, three periods of his works, because he dwelt very much into philosophy in the first phase, and then into literature, and then again the literary work and the play of the meaning, taking the avant-garde writers. And besides all the popularity and the formidable work that is written by Derrida, we have much criticism against Derrida, because Derrida is criticized that when he says there is no center, it leads to chaos only. So when you say that there is no God, what happens? So this kind of dilemma, this kind of chaos, etc. So Derrida's ideas are criticized to be very, what do you say, illogical, irrational, that may lead to the extremes of, people denying the existence of anything, or existence of any authority, etc. So it's a very highly philosophical state of mind which Derrida, of course, advocates, wherein all authority, all hierarchy is deconstructed. So this, as a coin, will have two sides. Of course, Derrida has admirers as well as critics also. That criticism is also very stringent, yet he, of course, remains to be the best philosopher who deconstruct the Western philosophy, or the domination of the Western ideology over the rest of the world. That, of course, is very important. And of course, his thinking has spread into many areas. Okay, like we have literature, philosophy, religious studies, okay, and the sociologies, anthropology, so many theories were influenced by Derrida's theories of deconstruction and difference. So these are the few things that you can, of course, uh, know about Derrida. Of course, it is all for your knowledge only, not that you will write everything in your examinations. So, because one of the essays is prescribed for you for the study, one of the essays of Derrida. So, it is good to know a little bit more about simply where he was born and what he wrote. So, that is why I took this. A not a detailed, a very brief analysis of what Derrida's concepts are, and what were the works, and what is his popularity, and what his criticism was. Okay. I hope you will listen to the lecture, and I think because we have the connection of post-structuralism, Derrida, I wish to take up the next essay, that is structure, sign, and play first. Though it is, I think, is not the next essay prescribed for your study, but I will be dealing with that topic only in the next class. Okay. Have a nice time. Bye.